Well, Heidi Ho again. This is Caleb Jones, and this is the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. This is podcast number 98. We got 98 of these podcasts. I'm amazed. I'm amazed at this. 98 of these podcasts. Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. If the sound quality, and for those of you watching the video version, if it looks a little different, I am here in my temporary office in Guadalajara, Mexico, and I'll be here for about 2 weeks. So I apologize for the sound quality and or the video quality to not be up to par, but I'm here in this very nice, inexpensive office. Now this is a quick Five Flags thing. This office is costing me $25 a day. Okay, if I got this, and this is in a brand new building in the nicest part of town, in Andaras, Guadalajara. And this same exact office, and I know because I've rented them, this same exact office would cost me about $250 a day in the US or Europe or those places. But because it's Mexico, it is a tiny fraction of the price. It's fucking great. It's not super exciting, not a lot of furniture in here. Matter of fact, Pink Firefly and I, we're actually gonna have sex in this office, but this entire wall that I'm looking at on their side is all glass. These shared offices do that. They don't want any hanky-panky going on, so they make sure that all the windows are glass so people can see me right now. So anyway, minor little problems. I wanna give you an example of a scenario, okay? I want you to visualize a really overweight fat person, okay? I don't mean chubby, I mean fat. And let's assume this person is well over the age of 40, okay? So that means this person is really at risk for diabetes, heart attack, cancer, all that good stuff. Dying from cerveza sickness, that kind of thing, because this person is really fat. And let's say this person was a good friend of yours, and you told this person, hey man, you should lose weight. I'm not saying that to be a dick. I'm saying that because I love you, man. You're gonna fucking die. You're gonna get cancer, heart attack, and you're not gonna last very long. Wouldn't you like to be able to walk upstairs without, I mean, wouldn't you, And what if that person says, what do you mean I should lose weight? I'm not gonna lose weight. I like to eat mounds of food. That's just how I am. That's just how I am. I mean, I eat a mountain of macaroni and cheese for dinner every night, and I have 3 or 4 hamburgers for lunch every day. And for breakfast, I drink a bunch of Pepsi and coffee and cinnamon rolls and donuts every breakfast. And I eat that way because that's just how I am. I mean, I like food. That's just how I am. You'd be like, what? Wait a minute. You're gonna die. What is this how I am shit? Doesn't make any sense. That would be an insane answer, right? That would be a ridiculous, totally irrational, completely irrelevant answer. The relevancy is this fat person's gonna have, if not has already had, very serious health problems, quality of life problems. It doesn't matter if that person likes to eat food. I like to eat food too. It's not relevant, right? Take that thing about, well, that's just how I am, and apply that to a lot of different areas that I have heard from men in my audience. Caleb, I don't like to go out and talk to girls. I'm an introvert. That's just how I am. It's just how I am. I can't go on first dates with girls. I don't like doing that. It's just how I am. And this is a guy who has had sex in like 8 months, jerks off the porn all day. It's just how I am. Just how I am. Or Caleb, you talk about emotional control and Alpha Male 1.0 versus Alpha Male 2.0, and how Alpha Male 1.0s just get angry and get controlling and they get pissed off all the time because people don't do what they're fucking told. But hey man, that's how I am. If my girlfriend doesn't do what she's told, I get really fucking mad and I start screaming and yelling, my face gets red. That's just how I am. That's my personality, man. That's just how I am. Or here's another one. By the way, these are all real things. I'm not making this shit up. These are things guys have told me. Multiple men have told me these things. Here's another one. Caleb, I don't know what the deal is about sex. I mean, I don't like having sex. I don't need to have sex. I just like to cuddle. I just like to cuddle with girls. I don't need to have sex. It's how I am. And yeah, whenever I date a woman because I never have sex, she complains and it hurts the relationship and she screams and yells at me and she cheats on me with other guys because I don't like having sex. But I don't like having sex. It's just how I am. It's just how I am. I don't like having sex. It's just how I am. Or another one. This is very closely related. I'm a low testosterone guy. I'm an effeminate low testosterone guy. I'm a skinny little guy with a high voice. And I don't like to have sex and and I'm not very motivated in life. And I have a low, I went and got the doctor with my testosterone and it was like, my total testosterone was like, 198. And that's just how I am. That's just how I am, Caleb. Just how I am. Caleb, I don't want to start my own business. I hate my job. Yeah, my job sucks. I hate my boss, and it's bullshit. And I don't like having to go there every day and deal with these assholes and these people, these coworkers. And yeah, it sucks, and I don't have a lot of freedom. But I don't want to start a business. I'm not a business owner. It's just how I am. It's just how I am. I'm an employee. I'm an employee, and that's just how I am. Yeah, it sucks, but it's just how I am. I could go on and on with examples of this, of things that you guys have told me. Hey man, just how I am. And every time I hear you say that, it is the same thing as me talking to a guy who's 400 pounds and is on his way to 500 pounds. And I say, you gotta lose weight. He goes, but I like eating 10,000 calories a day. It's just how I am. These are ridiculous, completely unfounded, completely irrational, completely irrelevant answers. It doesn't matter how you are if you're not happy. Now, and I've said this before, if you have achieved all your goals in life, if you make a very high income that is 100% location dependent, and you only have to work 10, 20, 30 hours a week at tops to maintain that income, and it's work you like doing, and your sex life is fucking amazing. You're having these sex with women who are like 8s, 9s, and 10s, and they're hot to you, and they're hot as hell, and you're having all this sex, and you're very healthy, and you're very happy. Then fine, do whatever you want. But I'm not talking to those guys, I'm talking to you. You guys are making a bunch of excuses about things that are making you unhappy on a regular basis in your life, and you're defending them by saying, well, that's just how I am. When I was 39 years old, I've told this story before, I got on the scale and I don't remember the exact weight. I was 250 pounds or close to 249, I forget what it was. A lot. And even for a guy who's 5'11" like me, or 5'10" and a half, okay, fine, fuck you. Even for a guy my size, that's fat. I'm like, okay, I can't do this. This is causing problems in terms of my self-esteem. This is causing problems sexually. I can't bang a bitch as well as I could now because I've lost the weight. This is gonna cause, my big thing was this is gonna cause diabetes because I come from a family where diabetes is rampant. So in my family, this is really interesting. My mom comes from a very traditional Catholic Sicilian family, and she has 8 brothers, okay? And they all look like me. Imagine 8 guys, various versions of me, taller, shorter, fatter, skinnier versions of me. They all look like me. I guess I look like them because they came first. So, okay, fine. So they all look like me, all 8 of these brothers. And what's really fascinating, so this is obviously the side of the family that I take after in terms of my physicality, my physical genetics. I don't look anything like my dad or my dad's side of the family. My brothers do, but I look like my mom's side of the family. I don't even look like my mom. I look like my mom's brothers. Really weird. Weird how genetics works. But anyway, what's really interesting is I watched these guys age. These guys are all in their 60s and 70s now. And I watched all these guys age. And what's really fascinating to me is that, and I thought about this back when I was 39 years old and stepped on the scale and I was a big fat fuck. 100% of these brothers who allowed themselves to get chubby had hardcore diabetes. Not just diabetes, like crippling diabetes. Like it was a big deal. They had to carry these syringes around. It was a big, big problem for these guys. 100% of the guys who got chubby. 100% of the guys who stayed skinny were fine. Didn't have a single problem. Didn't have a single health problem. But the guys who got chubby, all of them, not only had diabetes, but like skin problems and health problems, heart problems. One of them died. I've told this story before. My Uncle Tom, that's literally his name, my Uncle Tom, got so fat he ate himself to death. He couldn't stop eating. And so he was actually in sort of this home where they tried to rehabilitate him from his eating problem, and he would sneak out at night and go get Taco Bell and McDonald's, and he fucking died because he kept eating. So I saw that and I said, well, I don't want to be in that category. Okay, very clearly, obviously, these guys who are genetically based on me, or the other way around, I should say, okay, message received. I can't grow up into my 40s, 50s, 60s and be a fat bastard or even a chubby bastard because I'm going to have lots of problems. I mean, the path was very clear for me. Can you imagine, and I imagine this, could you imagine if I stepped on the scale with all this context around my sex life as Black Dragon and my future plans as Alpha Male 2.0 and the family members who are dying or having problems with diabetes and all these other things, all these other issues, me saying, well, hey, I like eating Cinnabon and Taco Bell every day. It's just how I am. I'm not gonna make a change. Why should I make a change? I can't change. It's how I am. That is the implication behind that statement. The implication behind that statement is, I can't change. Or, why would I change? It's how I am. Can you imagine if I had said that? Because I've thought about this, because I've heard so many of you say, well, it's how I am. I thought about, what if I said that to me? Well, it's how I am. Hey, it's how I am. I'm just gonna, I'm at 250 pounds, I'm gonna go to 300 pounds. Why not? It's how I am. I have all these problems, I'll be miserable, but it's how I am. Let's take another parallel. So in 2007, when I was 35 years old, recently divorced, and I wanted to adopt an alpha male 2.0 lifestyle. I did not have that term back then, but I had this model kind of mapped out where I was dating multiple attractive women, all of whom were hot, all of whom knew I was having sex with other women and allowed me to do it anyway. And all these women stuck with me long term and did not argue with me about it. That was the model. I didn't have alpha male 2.0 as the name back then, but that was the model. And can you imagine, I imagine if I said to myself back then, February 2007, when I entered into this new life, if I had said, well, I'm a beta. I'm a beta, and I was a beta male. I said, I've been a beta my whole life, which is true. I've been a beta male for 35 years. I'm a beta. And betas either don't get laid or they get into a hardcore monogamous relationship with some average or ugly looking dominant woman who runs their life. That's what betas do. And I'm a beta. It's just how I am. Can you imagine if I had said that? It's so strange to me now to even think that thought process. Hey, it's just how I am. Because that would have been accurate. That was how I was. I was a beta male. That's exactly what I was back then. I was monogamously married for 9 years to a very dominant woman. Yeah, I was a beta. Yes, in every respect. I had my own business, but there are a lot of high-income business owner beta males, as I've talked about in the past. So can you imagine if I had said that? Well, that's just how I am. What did I say instead in both those scenarios? I said, yeah, it's kind of how I am now, but how I am is not making me happy. And I want to be happy. So clearly, if I'm unhappy, something is wrong. And I'm going to reiterate that to you. Some of you need to hear this. If something is unhappy in your life as a recurring thing, something is wrong. You are doing it wrong. Okay, there's no such thing as right and wrong. It's however people want to live. No, wrong. You are wrong. If you are consistently or repeatedly or regularly unhappy, what you're doing is wrong. You need to change what you're doing. You can't say, well, that's just how I am, unless your goal is to be unhappy. Now, if you look me in the eye, I've never had anyone do this yet. I'm sure someday it'll happen. But if you look me in the eye and you say, Caleb, I want to be unhappy. I enjoy being unhappy. Great. Do whatever you want. I don't know why you're watching my content, because I'm about long-term masculine happiness. And I don't really get it, because there are some guys in that category who just, you can tell they kind of want to be unhappy. They get off on the drama and the anger and the pain and the suffering and the victimhood. They like that stuff. Great. I don't know why you're watching my content. Get the fuck out of here. Why you subscribe to this podcast? Jesus Christ. So if you say that to me, fine. But if you don't say that to me, then you can't say, but that's how I am. You're unhappy, therefore you need to make a change. It doesn't matter who you quote unquote are. You can change. I changed. I used to be a beta. Now, I wasn't a huge, hopeless beta, but I was a hardcore beta. I was a beta male for the first 35 years of my life. I didn't lose my virginity until my early 20s. I was a beta male. And then I, had sex with a few women, and then I got married when I was 25. Stupid. Okay, I was a beta male throughout my marriage. Okay, it sucked. When I got divorced, I was a beta male. And I said, this is making me very unhappy, being this type of man. And again, I didn't have beta and alpha as terms back then, but I knew being this type of man is making me very unhappy. I have to change into a different kind of man. And I took the time and effort. Those of you who know my history, you know the details. I took the time and effort. It took me about 2 or 3 years. And I changed into a different kind of man. I didn't radically change my entire personality. Of course, my personality is very similar, but my lifestyle is now different. I changed. I didn't say, well, that's just how I am. It's so stupid. When you say that's just how I am, you're justifying your own unhappiness. And that the only time that makes sense, again, is if you say, I want to be unhappy. If you don't want to be unhappy, you can never say to anyone, well, that's just how I am. So if you are an alpha male 1.0 and you get really mad all the fucking time, and you don't like being mad, now if you like being mad, again, have fun. Have a terrible life. Good luck for you. I'm glad I'm not you. But if you don't like being unhappy, you can't say to me or anyone else, well, that's just who I am. You have to say, yeah, that's how I am. I better change. I better change, I better work on this. I better sit down and work on this problem. If you like eating Taco Bell, and I relate, hey man, I love food. I get it. If you like eating Taco Bell, if you like eating Cinnabon, Jesus Christ, in Dubai, they have these Kit Kat bars, and they have like 20 different flavors of Kit Kat. They have like orange Kit Kat and mint Kit Kat. They have a goddamn Cinnabon Kit Kat. It tastes like a goddamn Cinnabon. Fuck. So I get it. But I didn't say, well, I just how I am. I like to eat whatever I want, so that's how I am. No. You know what I ate yesterday? I ate fruits and nuts. I had some bananas, some oranges, and some cashews. That's what I ate yesterday. Because I don't want to be a chubby fuck anymore. I had to change. I've changed a lot about my psychology about eating. That's just one of the many things I've changed. My attitude about sex and monogamy, I changed that many years ago. My attitudes about living in the same country, living in the collapsing USA the rest of my life, I changed that many years ago. I changed. I didn't radically change, but I changed. And let me reiterate that. It's not like you have to change your entire life. Usually you're unhappy because of one or two things that you're doing wrong. You just need to change those one or two things. You could still be you. I'm still Caleb. I haven't changed radically in terms of, how I interact with people or my personality, but I've changed those things that made me unhappy. That's it. So when you say, well, that's just the way I am, we're not telling you, or I'm not expecting you to radically change every aspect of your personality and every aspect of who you are. No. There's probably a lot of good things to you. And not probably, I'm sure there is. A lot of good aspects to who you are. You don't change everything. You change those one or two things, and often they're big one or two things. You just change those one or two things that are making you unhappy. If you're getting angry, if you're very scared, you're a very timid beta male, if you're scared to stand up to your girlfriend or wife because you're a pussy, if you have low testosterone, if you like to eat a lot of food, if you're very politically minded, these guys are like, I try not to pay attention to political news, but I can't help it. That's just how I am. I've talked before about reasonably big name content providers on the internet who've said these things. It makes them miserable to get involved in politics, but they can't help it because that's just how they are. Well, maybe you need to work on that. Whatever it is you need to work on, you need to work on. You can never ever tell me, well, that's just how I am. That is the stupidest, dumbest excuse I've ever heard from my audience. And I've heard some dumb excuses from you guys. That's one of the biggest ones. Well, that's just how I am. I get really mad all the time. That's how I am. No, it's not. You can change that. I didn't say you can change it overnight. I didn't say it'd be easy. I didn't say you'll even like changing. There were some aspects of my conversion from beta male to alpha male 2.0 that I did not like to do. There were some aspects I enjoyed a lot, but there are some things I did not like at all. At all. There are some aspects about losing weight that I really didn't like at all. I still don't like them. I'm a lot better with them now, but I don't like them. Doesn't matter. I changed them and now I'm happy. That's it. Do you want to make excuses about how you are, or do you want to be happier? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And unfortunately, we live in an era now where most normal, quote unquote, most typical men, the answer is, I'd rather be unhappy. I don't want to put in the work. All these millennials say, I have to read a book? That's bullshit. A lot of guys now are just choosing unhappiness. Great. If you know the options and you just want to be a lazy bastard and make excuses and be unhappy for the rest of your life, go ahead. Again, I'm not sure why you're following my content. It's very odd to me, but great. I'm an individualism absolutist. You want to live your life in an unhappy manner? Go ahead. I don't care. I don't give. I'll make money either way, with or without you. I'm good. I'm fine. So do whatever you want. But if you want to be happy, and really, this message is probably not going to penetrate your stupid brain unless you want to be happy. But for those of you who deep down in your heart, the back of your head, you want to be happy, you can't use this, but that's just how I am excuse anymore. You can't ever say that ever again. You could say, that's how I am, but I need to change these one or two aspects of me. The rest of me I can keep. The other 90% of me I can keep. But that 10% that's caused me unhappiness, I'm going to have to change. I'm going to have to change. I don't have a choice. Because you don't. You're not going to be happy unless you change these things, whatever that thing is for you. I know I would not be happy as I am today had I made those excuses back a bazillion years ago when I stepped on that scale when I was 39, or when I got my divorce and moved into my new life when I was 35. There's no way in hell I would be this happy had I just said, well, that's just the way I am. I would be miserable today. Miserable. God forbid, I even think about sometimes, had I not gotten divorced from my first marriage, if I just stuck with that marriage, I shudder to think, if I was still married, not only to that individual person, but under that structure that doesn't work, TMM, traditional monogamous marriage, which is a structure that doesn't work and hasn't worked for decades. If I was still under that model, I shudder to think what kind of man I would be. Sometimes I think about like a parallel universe where the Caleb in that universe never got divorced from that person who was still married. Like, oh, it's so horrific, I can't even think about it. Or the Caleb who never lost the weight and just kept gaining weight every year. I've mentioned before, I have a sister who is around 400 pounds. She can barely walk upstairs. She can't even stand just to sit. I would look, and she looks a lot like me. She's got that same genetics I do, that same side of the family. And so I would be the male version of that. I'd be 400 pounds and a big blob. I wouldn't be doing this podcast, right? Wouldn't be doing this. I'd be working at some corporate job somewhere, miserable. Or some I might have my own business maybe, but it'd be like a location dependent consulting business where I was totally location dependent, working 70 hours a week and stressed out and pissed off. That'd be me. Shit, I could even be dead. Who knows? Had I just said, well, that's the way I am. So the next time you have this urge to say, well, that's just the way I am, I want you to stop and think. Do you want to be unhappy? If you want to be unhappy, then make that excuse. If you don't want to be unhappy anymore, you can't make that excuse anymore. You say, that's the way I am, and I'm going to have to change those 1 or 2 pieces of me. Just 1 or 2 pieces. I'm going to have to sit down and get to work. Yes, it might take 6 months. Yes, it might take 1.5 years. Fine. As I've said many times, if something takes you 2 years to do, to lay in a foundation that lasts the rest of your life, that's a really good deal. I thought about that in my woman life back when I was 35. I said, okay, let's say this takes me, I don't know how long I thought it would take, but it took me 2.5 years to get good with women. To start from beta male 0 to get good with women took me about 2.5 years. So that was 2.5 years of a decent amount of work. But by the end of 2.5 years, I was 37 and a half. So now from 37 to the rest of my life, age 120 or whatever, however old I'll be when I die, I am now good with women, and I'm going to be good with women for the rest of my life. So an investment of 2.5 years for the next 40, 50, 60 years, that's a good investment. So if this problem you're envisioning, it'll take me 2 years to do, all right, take the 2 years. And for the next several decades, you can now benefit from those 2 years. Huge ROI on that stuff. Make sense? I hope it makes sense to you. And I know that I'm only getting through to a percentage of you. A percentage of you is saying, but that's just how I am. But there's another group of you who are saying, okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that is how I am. I need to change, at least a little bit. That's how it works. By the way, if you need help, if you need my help to change, you can join the 6-Figure Warrior Mentorship, which is an entire program for next year, 2022, where I work with you personally over the course of an entire year, one-on-one coaching plus workshops, plus you get all my stuff. And all the coaching and all the workshops is free. It's actually free, not kidding. You can go to alphaFocusProgram.com for that. Check that out. Enrollment is closing in a few weeks, so you got to kind of jump on this pretty quick. But I can help you. And if you don't want to do that, there are many other ways in which I can help you. I have programs, courses, lots of free content. But stop making this excuse about that's just how I am. That's only how you are if you want to be unhappy. If you don't want to be unhappy, you can't be like that anymore. That's it. And again, you don't have to change your whole personality. Just those 1 or 2 things. I did it. I'm not a superhuman. Okay? You can do it too. Cool? Cool. All right. See you soon. Bye.